Hey everybody, it's GauntletX, and welcome to the June 2024 Arena Open Day 1 event. For those who don't know, Arena Opens are the monthly open entry competitive events. They are very high stakes, high rewards. They cost 5,000 gems or 25,000 gold, and you get pretty much nothing back unless you can get 7 wins before 3 losses, but if you manage to do that, you are going to be able to play in the Arena Open Day 2, where you're competing for cash prizes up to $2,000 on the line. So very high stakes, very competitive event. These have been all sealed events this year, and this month is no different. We're going to be playing Modern Horizons 3 Best of 1 sealed for the Day 1 event, so we're certainly hoping to open up some pretty great cards and see if we can get lucky and sneak our way into Day 2. So without further ado, let's bust open these packs and see what we get to play with today. Alright, and we've got a very mid collection of rares here. Honestly, the Fanatic of Ronus might be the best one since it's the most flexible. It's just a cheap mana dork no matter what, and you can reanimate it from the graveyard with that Eternalize ability. So that's pretty solid. Aether Revolt is very narrow. You need to have a bunch of energy production, so that's incredibly dependent on what else we've opened in the sealed pool. The Nether Goyf can be fine. It's just going to be a decently beefy creature for just 1 mana. Not like a super exciting rare, but certainly one of the better ones in this sealed pool. And then there's like, what, Dismember, I guess, is solid removal, but that's pretty on par with most common and uncommon removal spells in this format when it comes to viability in draft and sealed. So yeah, pretty unexciting sealed pool for the most part. We are going to be pretty reliant on the commons and uncommons, seeing where our most powerful stuff and where our best synergies lie, potentially. So I like to start off by taking a peek at our colorless and multicolored cards. That's going to let us really see where the mana fixing lies, as well as if there are any really powerful multicolored cards trying to put us in a specific color pair. For the colorless stuff, we've got some decently strong Eldrazi cards, Fleshraker, Devourer of Destiny being very solid, but only if our sealed pool has a bunch of good colorless sources like Eldrazi spawn tokens or colorless providing lands like the landscapes. So that's certainly interesting. Basically a 6th color of mana here. We want to splash in colorless spells into our deck. But we do have the Drownyard Lurker and the Tusker as well. These are very solid cards, but they're not really colorless. You do want to have access to the cycling abilities on these cards to make them a lot more flexible than something you can't cast unless you top deck it pretty late into the game. So it's basically a green card, basically a blue card there. So decent colorless stuff. None of this is mana fixing though. So we'll take a peek at the lands. Now we've got a blue-black fixer with Polluted Delta, and then we have 3 landscapes total. That's actually pretty low for the average sealed pool. So not the greatest fixing here. We probably don't want to do a lot of splashing. What colors do we have overlapping here? We can grab an island, a swamp, a swamp off of this. There's 2 blue-black fetches. This is white-black, and this is also white-black. So blue-black-white would be where all of these overlap, because this is blue-white, this is blue-white, this is white-black, this is blue-white-black, and this is blue-black. So Esper, we have pretty good fixing for. Otherwise, we're going to have like 1 or 2 landscapes in almost any other archetype here. So pretty mediocre fixing. I guess we do have 1 Boros dual land. All of these modal spells, the flip lands, are going to tap for whatever color they say on the front half. So if you see you have a hybrid mana flip card, then it is whatever colors it is on the front, on the back as well. So red-white dual land off of the Legion leadership adds a little bit to the fixing, but that's it for colorless and multicolored mana fixing, which is not the greatest, so don't want to do too much splashing, and also not the greatest when it comes to colorless sources. There are 3 main deckable colorless sources. Nesting Grounds depends on the makeup of our deck and how badly we need colorless sources, with Devourer of Destiny being so powerful. We would probably run Nesting Grounds if we are trying to do that, because it does require double colorless. So if we don't have good Eldrazi spawn production, we just have 4 colorless lands to run in the deck, which isn't incredible, but it's not horrific either. So are there any multicolored cards that push us in their direction? Kalia certainly does not. She does basically nothing in sealed and draft. Um, these other cards are just solid role fillers if we have the synergy to work with them. They're not cards that single-handedly push us into their color pair. But there's plenty of options there, depending on what our two strongest colors are. So it looks like it's going to be a real basic sealed build today, where we're not even like pulling a certain direction because of our rares. We're literally just going to look through every color and pick the best two and just go with it. Rares are just not really part of the picture in this sealed pool. So starting things off with white, we have a very solid color here. We've got a high quantity of playables and some flexible stuff. We curve out well with a couple 1-drops into playable 2, 3, 4 mana plays after that. Plus we've got a good finisher with the Voltstorm Archangel. We've also got decent removal between Dog Umbra and Thraben Charm. So it looks like a very decent color, very flexible stuff. It's got a little bit of anything you would want. As for the blue, we do have Royal Cartographer, which is fantastic, Emrakul's Messenger, which is good with synergy cards to work with it, like our Double Tune the Narrative, our Serum Visionary, and our Tempest Harvester. So plenty of synergy to go with the Emrakul's Harvester, so that's actually pretty good. Two of these flip land cards, these are not the greatest, but we can probably play one or two over an island. I just find the front half of this card is just so bad you almost always end up playing it as a land, so it often plays just worse than an island. So I'm not super confident in that one. And then Shadow the Second Sun is very slow, but you have a bunch of instants to get value out of the untapped, and that's pretty good. This is a lot worse than it looked. I did play this one time, and I was like, oh, so you cast this main phase 1, and then at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you untap all your lands, get another upkeep, and draw another card. No, it's at the end of your post-combat main phase. So at the beginning of Enchanted Player's post-combat main phase, there is an additional beginning phase after this phase, the last 3 words in that text being the really important ones. So you don't get to untap all your lands and cast another creature or sorcery speed spell. You can only use that mana on more instants. So it ends up being like 6 mana to draw an extra card a turn if you don't have a ton of instants, which is not worth it. You need a ton of instants to make the card good. And here it looks like in blue we don't really have that, but if we have a secondary color with a bunch of instants, it might still be playable. So I do like the blue. We've got good energy synergies with Battle Wagon, Tune the Narratives, and Tempest Harvester to go with our Royal Cartographer here and maybe get a draw 3 going at some point. Plus we have great Emrakul's Messenger synergies with a bunch of cards that can just draw 1. Again, the Tune the Narratives, the Harvester, the Serum Visionary, the Battle Wagon. All those can get a draw 1 pretty easily to get the spawn out. Actually, like, white has a higher quantity of cards, but I do enjoy the kind of synergies that our blue gives us access to a little bit better. Just card draw and energy stuff I'm a pretty big fan of. So moving on to black, Terramander we do not have synergies for, Condor we don't have synergies for. It's like fine but slow Graveyard Recursion with Crest for Necropolis and Gravedig. We've got 1 removal spell, just a Dismember. I guess Marauder sort of works as removal. I think black is my least favorite color so far, a bit behind blue and white here, with blue and white being somewhat tied for first. But it's not terrible either. If we had a huge reason to be there, like some good multicolored cards, we could still do it. I just don't think we do in this sealed pool. So checking out our red, we've got a lot of energy synergies. We can try to get Aether Revolt to do things and go blue-red here. But it looks like we don't have a lot. We have 2 Charge Bugs, 1 Ironworks, and that's it. There are 3 energy-producing cards in red to go with the Aether Revolt. That also means we only have 3 energy-producing cards to go with the Ironworks in this color as well, which makes this significantly worse. In blue, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we do have 8 total when we play blue-red. 8 energy-producing cards. Just decent. Actually 10 when you count the 2 Cyclops things. Alright. I mean, I think the strongest red cards we have here, I mean, the best is Ral and the Implicit Maze for sure. But outside of that, it would be synergy stuff with like Aether Revolt here. And Ironworks being the strongest card, so blue-red would be the one place I'd really want to try out our red here. And again, now that I think of it, with 5 energy producers in blue and 2 out of our multicolored, that is 10 energy producing cards to go with Aether Revolt, so 1 out of every 4 cards in our deck becomes a miniature removal spell when we have Aether Revolt on board, which could be fine. Makes it playable for sure, not like a mega bomb, but makes it pretty good. Mogmob's almost impossible to cast. Yeah, maybe Sealed's slow enough, even without a lot of artifacts, we can still just play a big dragon. And this random Void Pouncer thing. Yeah. I mean, red is cool synergy for the blue. It's not going to be particularly good anywhere else. We've got 1 removal spell and 1 miniature board wipe thing. Clear out all the spawn tokens, any 2 toughness or less cards. So we have okay interaction in the color again. Yeah, nothing really pushing us here over any other color, but it is another solid option if we pair it with our blue. Kind of feels like it's turning into like a season to taste sealed pool, come to think of it, where it's like, I mean, we could do any color pair and none of them are going to be that strong. I don't feel like we have any color pair that looks like a 7-win deck to me. We have a bunch of pretty equal, pretty mediocre decks that I expect to average around the 3-3, 4-3 mark, so I'm going to have to just build something that looks decent and hope to draw better than our opponents. Kind of feels like where it's at here, because green, once again, just pretty fine. It's not incredible, it's not horrible, there's no interaction in the color, but there is a great top-end card with Altasaur, a lot of Graveyard Recursion with Triple Witness, Repurposer to go wide and ramp up, and the Fanatic to ramp up as well. So we have solid ramp into these big spells here. Yeah, straight up, every color looks fine. Every single color, pretty much. Don't think there's anything that looks significantly better than anything else. Might want to take a peek at green-white having 2 of the green-white uncommon in the sealed pool. If we have a lot of ways to modify cards, then we can get our auras and equipment to be super cheap, and we can get huge attacks in. So how would that look? Green-white, how much modified is there in here? Like, I guess we just start looking at 2 color pairs and see what looks super synergistic here. No, definitely not playing all this. Probably, well, we could still play Expel as pretty mediocre 5-mana removal just because we don't have a lot. Hydro Trainer is not a very good card. It's pretty inefficient, but it does hit modified synergies well. That's modified. This is not. The witnesses can modify themselves. I mean, looks fine. The double mandibular kite curve into the 3-drop looks pretty great. Most exciting thing about the color pair is that I can turn 1 mandibular kite. Boom, I've already got a modified creature on board. I play anything turn 2, then I play the Golden Tail Trainer. And that's going to at least give the kite +1/+1. I guess you get significantly bigger buffs with this card if you can buff this thing's power, so you want a lot of auras, equipment, or +1/+1 counters to put onto it, and right now, I mean, maybe we can get Hydra Trainer to buff that, but even that doesn't even work, right? So when it attacks, target creature gets +X/+X. When this attacks, I guess you can order these in the way where this resolves first, giving this the buff, then this ability resolves, buffing everybody else. So you could Hydra Trainer with Golden Tail Trainer. But outside of that, which is just like pretty fragile, there's 1 Nyxborn Unicorn and like 1 Nyxborn Hydra. Technically, we could equip it with a Mandibular Kite. But this doesn't make equip costs any cheaper, so it's 4 mana to do that. Kind of a hard sell, 4 mana for +1/+1 flying. We're not going to be able to do that till we've already pretty much dumped our hand, or we're going to have something more efficient to do with our mana. I suppose Inspired Inventor can technically put a +1/+1 counter on the trainer as well. I mean, it's fine, but this doesn't feel like a incredible payoff for being in green-white here. Although, again, because our colors are all so middling, so average in power level, not like we're giving up on that much to play this color pair in particular. So, I mean, looks like a fine deck, looks like a solid place we could be, but I really feel in energy stuff. Yeah, I'd like to look at other color pairs that are particularly well represented, or there's like a big reason to be there, and I really think that's just blue-red energy for the most part. We have more fixing in blue, white, and black than anything else because all of our landscapes cover at least two of those three colors, plus we have polluted delta, so we could look blue, white, black here. Just be like a blue, white, black mush pile, but I'm fairly confident I would rather be a more streamlined two-color deck. Because the big reasons to be a big multicolored mush pile are to throw as many rares in your deck as possible, and just none of our rares are strong enough for us to really care about shoving them in here. Yeah, I mean, this just looks like a goopy, non-synergistic pile, even if we play all the best cards here. That doesn't even get particularly powerful spells for doing this. Yeah, I'm just honestly not that interested. Let's check the blue-red. There's 43 cards, but we also have superconductors. So 45, we definitely drop Meltdown for sure. Not much like Shrieking Drake. I guess with really good enter the battlefield effects, it can be fine. I mean, I guess we've got, what, a bunch of cards that enter and give us 2 energy, so we probably do run that. Mob's going to be too restrictive of a mana cost. Probably one of the first cuts. Hellkite's a lot of mana, Shadow's a lot of mana. Not a siege smashy kind of deck. Cut like these 4. Something like that. We can also consider getting some colorless cards in here. That is one thing I forgot to check on. Because our strongest rare is actually this Devourer of Destiny thing, because you get to play it as a big 6/6 plus a removal spell, we could check how many Eldrazi spawn we have, but it looks like really just not a lot. I've got 1 out of green. Yeah, I have a single Eldrazi spawn producing card in green. Yeah. That's literally it when it comes to colorless sources. If we play green-blue specifically, we get a Voidcraw as well. So we get a Voidcraw and an Eldrazi spawn producer out of green. Blue does give us this Emrakul's Messenger, which can produce Eldrazi spawn. Red gives us the Glimpse that can produce Eldrazi spawn. So blue-red is about as good as any other deck at having some random colorless sources. It's slightly less colorless than green-blue would be, but gives us a lot more synergy here, and then we get to play the Lurker as well for a spawn producer, so that we can try to play this Devourer of Destiny. I don't think we're running enough colorless spells to want to play the Fleshraker, though. It doesn't do anything. It basically doesn't do anything unless you cast more colorless spells, and there's only going to be like 4 in this deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I guess. That's still pretty inconsistent, and it is hard to cast. We could play Idol of the False Gods if we're really desperate for colorless sources. What is super awkward is these landscapes, none of them are blue-red. Only one of them is green-blue anyway. Even if we were green-blue, only one of them would be on color. Yeah, it's gonna be some awkward lands towards playing a Devourer of Destiny. Whether we're green-blue or blue-red here. think I'm just gonna go like all in on just blue-red energy beats. Got 2 specimen, we can swap out 1 land to run 2 specimen, which we can play as a land half the time, creature the other half. Although, again, this is almost a creature 100% of the time, but don't think there were any other non-creature spells I'm really missing out on here. We've got a couple 6-drops and a 7-drop. Double checking the lands again. But I don't think there's anything we really want in here. Oops, I don't know why I'm looking at that. I'm trying to see moving counters around. Is that going to do anything for us? I don't think so. We don't really have any +1/+1s. Yeah, no, it's really not going to do anything. Our only +1/+1 counter card is Void Pouncer, which we can't even put the counter on that often. Just whenever we have a random Eldrazi spawn. There's a couple cards that do that. Yeah, I mean, I think this is about what we've got here. Looks pretty mid, but so does every color in the pool. Yeah, I mean, I think this is about as good as anything else we've got here. I like trying to get this Aether Revolt to pop off as our quote-unquote bomb rare, and this is a great color pair to do that. Try to grind out a game with that thing and go crazy. Anytime we don't draw into it, we do have just a pretty aggressive curve. Cheese in a bunch of early damage, and maybe we can end the game with a couple Ember Mages, top deck one of these, and oof, our opponent has been domed for 4, might just die out of nowhere. Looks perfectly fine, perfectly reasonable, definitely doesn't look exciting, doesn't look like a guaranteed 7 win or anything, but your average 3-3-4-3 deck, which I think is pretty much anything we could look at in the sealed pool. So I am gonna roll with it. We'll call it a deck here, hope for the best, cross our fingers for some great draws, and some bad sealed pools from our opponent, but we'll see how it pans out for us as we head into the gameplay. Very solid opening hand here. A little bit of a curve out, charge bug into Serum Visionary if we can top deck a land in the first 3 draw steps. We have failed on the first 2 draws, but we've still got another turn before we need to roll out the Serum Visionary. Playing against green-black. Green-black-red, the full Jund. Hopefully we're not the ones to get Junded out. Uh-oh, Glimpse the Impossible for just full-on ramp. Triple Eldrazi spawn here. Seems good. That is definitely sketchy. Let's drop the Serum Visionary so we can guarantee our 4th land next turn. Try to get towards this Ral in the Implicit Maze as quick as possible to clear out all the spawn, maybe before they do anything too scary. And there we go. We've drawn land for turn already. I do like Fanged Flames as a draw, but I don't think it would be unreasonable to ditch it just to guarantee we hit our 5th land sooner. Oh wait, this is the 5th land. What am I talking about? I've got the 4th in hand already. Yeah, so we definitely keep Fanged Flames. Yeah, we're good. We are good. What on earth are you? This is a commander card, so you're going to see these very rarely. Literally never played against it yet. It's got extra power for the greatest power among creatures in all graveyards. When it attacks, each player mills a card. During each of your turns, you can play a land and cast a spell from cards in graveyards that were put there from libraries this turn. So it attacks it, and then they get to cast stuff from graves based on what it's milled. Okay. Pretty bad for me. It's also too big to die to our Fanged Flames, so that's not going to be a thing here. I suppose if they block it all, actually, I can draw into the Fanged Flames and kill it. I'm not really going to block it well, because if they mill anything with at least 2 power, Then I don't really have any blocks. I guess anything with at least 3 power. Okay, so we're gonna superconductor. I suppose what we could do here is tune the narrative at instant speed to get the superconductor prowess trigger to make it 3 power, and then have the superconductor die and do another 3 damage to it. That's only going to work for us if they mill into something big enough to give this 3 power to kill our 3/3 superconductor, but we'll see. They could also cycle like a big Eldrazi, turn into a 7 power creature. Ew. Ember Mage is great here. They clear out the superconductor and don't even have to worry about the blocks. I can tune the narrative in response, so it's a 3/3 when it dies, and I can do 3 to any target, but that still doesn't kill anything that matters. I mean, I'm still gonna tune the narrative, like, while I've got the open mana regardless. Suppose we're just killing a spawn token rather than shooting face for 3. I mean, we put them down to 13 if I shoot their face. I can still kill the spawn token with this implicit maze. If I don't implicit maze next turn, I'm just Fanged Flamesing an Ember Mage, which isn't even that great. I think I'm going to shoot face here. Like a 50-50 that I'm casting the implicit maze next turn. To kill the spawn anyway. Oh, they milled my battle wagon. More importantly, they milled a land, so they can play land for turn. All the 4 damage removal in the world is very sad. I could wait till I have 7 mana to try to Fanged Flames and Ral here. I need to top deck another red source, but technically with the Eldrazi spawns from Glimpse the Impossible, that would help work that way. It's 18 to 13 here. Like cashing in damage. Especially with 4 to face from the Ember Mage coming up. Alright, we found a great Ral in the implicit maze turn then. I guess I do this. That way, even if they have the 1 green mana trick that gives +1/+1, it'll still die to the implicit maze. The Ember Mage, that is, since the spawn's gonna die regardless. I don't need to do 1 damage to the spawn there. Cool. I did just buff Quorum, but they're gonna mill another 2 cards, so Quorum was likely to get bigger soon anyway. Yeah, it was gonna be 3 power here, even if we didn't kill the 4/4. We're at 14, they're at 12 now. Spawn Gang Commander. The turn after the implicit maze, pretty devastating. They've got a Thief of Existence too. They've got a lot of on-color. I guess the Spawn Gang Commander isn't a rare, but it's along that power level. Just great Jund cards over there. Drownyard Lurker is 1 mana off. Play them until the end of your next turn, though, so I can play Drownyard Lurker next turn. We can Ember Mage the Spawn Gang and have a 4/4 blocker up here. That also gives us double blocks for Quorum, potentially. Although I could see an argument for just killing the 3/4 since they're down to just 1 spawn left, but it's pretty easy for Jund to get more spawns. Gross. They've also got the 1 mana super efficient removal on color. No blocks. Take 7, go to 7. And we're going to have 3 blockers up here, a Spellgorger Weird, Drown Yard Lurker and a Charge Bug. I guess technically a spawn as well. But that's the board we're trying to get stable off of. Oh my god, stop with the rares, please. Chthonian Nightmare, so then I can just sack an Eldrazi spawn and bring back the best 3 mana or less creature. There's a Charge Bug to give Menace on attacks, that's pretty bad. Not only does it do that, but it gives them 2 more energy towards another Chthonian Nightmare reanimation. Because they sack this, bring back something that costs 3 or less, then they replay it, get 3 more energy, sack it, bring something even bigger back if they get energy from the Charge Bug. Yeah, so if they don't give Menace here, then now Chthonian Nightmare can bring back a 6-drop next turn, which means they can Ember Mage and clear out a blocker. That's super bad for me. Here is Drown Yard Lurker. That's the best, most defensive play we have, but pretty sure we are dead to Chthonian Nightmare. We go to 2 life if they want to just shoot our face. They can also just use some of this energy with the amulet and just keep drawing cards. Use the energy with the Charge Bug for Menace. They are going to go for the Ember Mage. Shoot the face to 2. They had the second Ember Mage in hand. Alright, Arena. Well, I feel like we were severely outclassed by deck quality in that one, but what can you do in Sealed? We are 0-1 heading into Game 2. Alright, here we are for Game 2. Got a fine curve here. Actually, Superconductor just has a 2-2 prowess plus a 3-3 with the Ironworks. Probably Superconductor first to get Summoning Sickness out of the way on something. Ooh. Okay, if we draw Aether Revolt, then we Ironworks first, so that when I play Superconductor, I get to do the shoot for 3. I mean, we need to hit red sources. We need to hit 1 red source. But if we get there, we are really getting there off this Aether Revolt. That's 2 blue-black landscapes from our opponent. The draw is not a red source here. So we're still hoping. If we don't find it, we'll have to just glimpse towards it. I really don't mind that utter insignificance. We can still get energy off the Void Pouncer. Basically just a -2, -0 right now. Another landscape, another blue-black landscape. That's a lot of uncolored landscapes. Send in the Void Pouncer, I guess, unless they tap out to exile it. How badly do I want to trigger the Ironworks? If I want to trigger it real badly, I could Simulacrum here, which I guess means we glimpse first, right? Because basically, no matter what, we want to glimpse towards a red source. And this way, if I glimpse and hit the red source, then I get to play the Simulacrum, so even if they use the exile ability on Utter Insignificance, I can still get an energy this turn. Alright, and they are not going to exile the Void Pouncer, since now they know even if they do, I'll still get an Ironworks energy. They're going to find the mana they need. It is blue, red, white. Now, unless they use a board wipe like Ral in the Implicit Maze, we are quite guaranteed to be able to attack him with a creature and get an energy. Ooh, tune the narrative? So we can just kill the Gatekeeper by casting that. We go 1, 2, 3, 4. We have revolted this turn, so tune the narrative does 4 damage to any target. Then we attack, get an Ironworks energy, that's 3 more damage. to the face. Yeah, actually, I didn't even need to tune the narrative to clear out their thing. Because I forgot it's not double damage, it's +2, so 1 + 2 is 3. So I could have just not cast the tune the narrative, saved it to use it at instant speed here. But that wouldn't have killed the meddler, luckily, so looks like it doesn't end up mattering. Drown Yard Lurker is the draw. So Superconductor can deal 5 damage to the meddler if I crack an Eldrazi spawn, but I can also just do 3 with it. And then 1 more. Yeah, that's not enough. I have to crack a spawn to kill this meddler here. I could Battle Wagon and kill the meddler if Battle Wagon looks better. And I think Battle Wagon looks better when we have Aether Revolt on board. So here's 4, and then we attack and do the final 3. Boom, that's gone. Alright, they're over it. This nonsense is too much, and we are 1-1. Heading into game 3, certainly could have played that out even better because I forgot that it isn't double, it's +2. So yeah, if we had held the tune the narrative, I guess we would have gotten like 1 more damage to face. But we would have had more flexible options if they played a smaller creature. Because we didn't have to spend anything to kill the Gatekeeper, we just needed to sack 1 spawn. For the attack declare to be 3 damage there. Alright, well, yeah, that was incredible. That was a complete 180 from the first game. We are 1-1 now, heading into game 3. Alright, here we are for game 3, another Aether Revolt game here. We don't have the Eldrazi spawn to sacrifice with this hand, but we've got the double red already. All we need to do is draw 1 land. And we can play a turn 4 Aether Revolt. A little worse early game here, but that has immediately changed. There's a 1-drop. Now I can Ironworks turn 3, still gonna attack trigger, maybe. They'd have to have pretty weak early game creatures for me to be able to attack in with a 1-1 freely on turn 3 at this rate. But maybe it's all gonna be some non-basic lands and chillin'. Oh wow, that was an excellent draw. It's gonna be a lot easier to attack in with a flyer than a 1-1 on the ground. So if they don't have the cheap removal for Messenger, then this is probably a great way to keep the Ironworks rolling. And again, I'm going to play Ironworks before Superconductor here, because Superconductor post Aether Revolt comes with a 3 damage ping, which is quite large. I think generally without an Aether Revolt hand, the curve, oh boy. Oh boy. Generally without Aether Revolt in hand, the curve is going to be Superconductor first, so that the turn I play the Ironworks, I just immediately get a Golem with it. While getting in some non-summoning sick damage, but because of the Aether Revolt in hand, we just wait. Nadu is super irritating here, but we can just kill it next turn. We just gotta hope that they don't have good ways to target it. But then we're probably gonna have to Simulacrum it next turn, rather than waiting multiple turns and just giving them more time to pop off. When anyone targets anything on their board, they get to draw a card. So this just puts them well ahead in card advantage so ridiculously easily. It's one of these really cheap value rare kind of cards they've printed recently. Not a bomb rare in the course of it, like immediately winning the game kind of thing, but a bomb rare where if you don't deal with it, your opponent wins with just an insane amount of card advantage, and even if you do deal with it, they're so far ahead in cards because they went up a card from you targeting it in the first place that it often just puts you in a losing position. Really bad for us. And when we see all open mana from a deck running Nadu, feels real likely that we try to Simulacrum this thing and they just give it +1/+1 till end of turn or something. Use that snake combat trick. Use literally any combat trick in the format's going to be at least +1 toughness. There's Wing It for +2/+2. We might have to just tap out for Aether Revolt and pass here. just because the risk of running into a combat trick is monumental here. If I spend my whole turn and sack a Simulacrum to target this thing, and they have something to save it, they've just went up like 3 cards there, because we spent a card and they drew 2 more in the interaction. Like, it's just so bad for us. So we just drop an Aether Revolt. They've got the Aether Spike as well. So no Aether Revolt. Cycle a Warped Tusker. They only have colorless mana up now. This is looking like a better opportunity to try to get Nadu out of here. They just pass. I'm clearing out Nadu. Alright, they just pass. We have 2 great 6-drops in hand, so we gotta just drop the Specimen. I guess Nadu's so busted, if they top deck a colored source, that's the right color for a combat trick we could get blown out here. Luckily, they did top deck the colored source, but it wasn't the right color for any combat tricks they might have in hand. So Nadu's gone. There's that. We have double Ember Mage to hopefully clear out their next 2 threats to try to recoup some of this lost card advantage, where we can have a 4/4 on board and clear out one of their cards, try to reverse 2-for-1 them a little bit. Basically cast a removal spell and a creature, casting 2 cards off of 1. Eldrazi Ravager, alright, that's too big for the Ember Mages, and the Annihilator 1 is also really devastating. What do I even do here? Do I still Ember Mage? I don't really see any better play. I could play a Superconductor and just be less mana efficient. Or I can put them to 10. I think we are putting them to 10 and getting more threats on the board, so at least when they do send in the Eldrazi Ravager, I've got pretty considerable counterattacks. Right, I'm attacking for 6 with the final 4 to shoot at them in the face off of Ember Mage's ability, discarding the other one. I don't think we put ourselves in a position where I try to block Ravager and throw another Ember Mage at it. I think we're trying to just sneak in for lethal around the Ravager. We can draw any card draw, that would be incredibly helpful. Giving us the Eldrazi spawn token to sacrifice to the Annihilator ability would be really good. And just 1 mana removal back at it again. And it gains life as well. You can drop another Ember Mage and hope and pray here. I actually should have hasted it out. Oh, that was dumb. Obviously, you shouldn't have hasted the last one out since they had an untapped 6/6, but here they don't. So we could have hasted for 4 extra points of damage. That actually might cost us the game. I just forgot about Arena of Glory's ability there. Well, I don't think I forgot about it, because I was considering it with the first one. But then I was like, well, no, they've got a Ravager in the way anyway. Yeah, no, we would have had them down to 3 here. That was bad. Unless they show me the instant speed removal. Then I'd be very happy. And be like, see? I was actually playing around instant speed removal the whole time. If I exerted the Ember Mage, they would have killed it. And then I just would have had my Arena of Glory stuck, tapped down. This way, it's not stuck tapped. See? I was a genius the whole time. I punt and it goes perfectly in my favor. If I had exerted Arena of Glory, we would have hit for the exact same amount of damage, except now one of our lands would not be untapping this turn. You fools! You absolute buffoons thought I misplayed. I'm actually playing on a whole nother level. What are you? They can look at the top card of the library and cast any creatures on the top. Okay, so a massive card draw engine. Plus, they can put the cards out for free if they tap 2 untapped creatures. That part doesn't matter as much. They've got plenty of mana, but digging through every creature clump, playing multiple cards in one turn is terrifying. We have to keep hitting with Messenger. I could exert Superconductor just to chump attack with it for another 2, but at that point I can just block with it and throw the damage at their face later anyway. And I think I want to spend that energy on another Golem, regardless. That's actually a hard choice. When our opponent's this low on life, the ability to shoot them for another 2 when our Superconductor dies is kind of a big one, especially if we top deck any spells for the prowess. I might have to hold off making another Golem here. I mean, if I do make another Golem, I have 4 attackers next turn against 2 blockers, but then what happens if they just have 1 creature in hand and then 1 on top with Eladamri? Like, then it's just all getting blocked anyway. I think I save the energy for face shoots with Superconductor, because that could speed up the clock by like a whole nother turn. Where I just hit like a single spell, and then next turn I hit them for 2 in the sky and 3 with Superconductor guaranteed. If I just top deck a non-land, and they don't find something that blocks Messenger, they're dead. Because they either don't block Superconductor and take 3, or do block Superconductor, it dies and they take 3. Oh, but they hit a flyer that stuns our whole board. Not our whole board, but multiple cards. Well, shoot. They're still down to 4. The game's not over. Ooh, they didn't stun the Superconductor. I could top deck like I'm absolute champion. It's possible. We cracked the Golem, right? Got enough card draw in the deck. I could cast like a 3-mana card draw spell like a Serum Visionary and then draw something that costs 4 that's impactful and need to cast both for like 7 mana. I think I cracked the Golem. Shrieking Drake. Oh, that would be huge with the Aether Revolt. Can untap Messenger? Or I can recast Superconductor so I can have a Golem chump blocker alongside the ability to shoot with it. We're still in the world of top decking a non-creature spell being lethal. They double block. Well, they double block. They block one of our 2 flyers. 1 damage gets in, and then Superconductor would be 3 damage no matter what. Because the prowess trigger, blocked or unblocked. Everybody hates Chris. And now the game's over, because we can't attack through that. I guess if I top deck the 1 mana draw card spell, and then another non-creature right after it, Superconductor could still shoot them for 4. However, that's not the case anymore either, because Chrysalis just gave them chump blockers, so they don't even kill Superconductor on attacks. Yeah, no, Chrysalis is just super dumb, and it's over. This is lethal here. I mean, I guess they attacked with the flyer, so I do get to send in, and one of these gets through to put them to 3, but again, because I can't actually get the superconductor to die here on attacks, the prowess isn't going to matter unless I top deck an instant, then I can prowess in response to the Annihilator trigger to kill them. Although, I'd have to hit them for 1 here, and then they could attack with only the Riddle Keeper to get around the superconductor. So even if I draw the instant, I have to attack to get them to 3, and then Superconductor's the only blocker, so they only attack with the Riddle Keeper and don't even trigger the Annihilator to let me sacrifice it. Yeah, I don't see a way out at this point. It's really close, though. Necrobloom? I mean, if they do that, they're dead, right? Are they? Whenever land enters the battlefield under control, create as you want. No. No, because they have a crack land, so they have 3 blockers still. Plus, Fang Flames isn't enough to kill the Chrysalis. So all the Fanged Flames does here is prowess up the Superconductor, which they're just not going to block anyway. I mean, they're not going to kill. They'll block it with a 0/1 plant. Yeah, there's nothing we can do here. We can try to Fanged Flames the Chrysalis. They respond by sacking both spawns, and it's still there. This is a sorcery, so I can't Fanged Flames the plant or anything. Yeah, I guess we just send a message at this point. Or I'm incredibly dead on the crackback, right? Chump, chump, block 1 thing, take 1, 2. I guess I go to 1 life if I lose like my whole board and accomplish nothing. So yeah, let's just send a message and see if they somehow uber punt and forget about Superconductor's death trigger and try to kill it with Chrysalis. Nope. All right. Well, incredibly close life totals in the end, even against a bunch of rares and the strongest common printed in years. So we'll take it, even though it's a loss, I guess. 1 and 2. But we didn't quite make it through against the deck with Nadu. All right, here we are for Game 4, ready for Arena to end my misery. Our sealed pool been significantly weaker than everything we have matched up against so far, so I'm getting very sad and very ready to open up another one, because we have been outclassed at every turn. But maybe, if we can hit our crazy Aether Revolt synergies, we can do some crazy enough things to just go, oops, I win. It is possible. You know, Simulacrum for Hydra Trainer is not a bad trade. Sure. Cool. Draws a Repurposer from the Jund deck. They've also got a little blue splash there, potentially. Arena of Glory. Well, I should tune pre-combat then in case I draw a creature to haste out with this. That is no creature. We need to get another Golem here. Best way is to send this. I don't want Charge Bug to trade into a 3/3. Or trade into an Eldrazi spawn. My bad. Alright. Trade the Repurposer off to get another Eldrazi spawn. Nightshade Dryad, Death Touching Mana Fixer, and Mana Ramper. We find an Ember Mage that we can't afford yet. Good card for the future, though. Charge Bug again would just trade into a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn. Because it doesn't do enough damage to the Nightshade Dryad to kill that. There's Altasaur for the big 2-for-1. Big Cascade. It's a Writhing Chrysalis. Yep. And that's RIP, right? Bomb rare level common strikes again. It's the biggest creature on the board. It's the widest board, so I can't attack past it. Even if they just hard cast a Chrysalis there, like didn't even cascade into it off the Altasaur, we'd be in such a bad spot. But obviously the Altasaur makes it way worse. A 6/5 alongside here. Well, rip, I guess. Just Ember Mage a Dryad? Or do I just Ember Mage face? I can't do it to the Chrysalis. That thing's already 6 toughness. Yeah, whatever. I'm going to stop thinking so hard at this point. We're 1 and 2 with a deck that has been consistently far weaker than our opponents. So, I mean, our odds of turning this into a 7-win when this is our current position, and if we lose this game, we're done with the run, is so astronomically low. I'm just going to let it get over with. Oh, all right. I'm going to 100% get over with it if they drop a Spawn Gang Commander alongside the Chrysalis. Yeah, I mean, that's magic, baby. That is sealed. I guess our big mistake here was not opening up Writhing Chrysalis. Because that thing completely wrecked our souls. I mean, we've got a Ral in the Implicit Maze, which is decent against these kind of spawn decks. It's good against the Spawn Gang Commander cards, but against the Writhing Chrysalis, it just forces them to sack all the spawns to make the Chrysalis really big. Like, they still get the gigantic Chrysalis on board, so it's not even that good, that insane against the Chrysalis. Again, another look at our sealed pool. I mean, if we wanted to go for pure power level and just give up on consistency and synergy, we could have been playing Devourer of Destiny with a bunch of colorless sources and maybe went like green-blue or something instead. But even there, we just get demolished by Chrysalises, which is what we lost to most of the time here. Bomb rares and Chrysali, which is basically a bomb rare itself. Yeah, our green-blue deck doesn't even have interaction that deals with Chrysalis, because it's technically a colorless permanent, so I can't even exile it with the Devourer. Obviously, our blue-red deck can't deal with it. I don't think there's any deck in this sealed pool that deals with it. Is there? If we have a million creatures on board, Thraben Charm can deal with it. I guess Dog Umbra and Expel the Unworthy. So if we played white, we would have had the best interaction we could for the very beefy Chrysalis itself. But again, another part of the issue is the wide board it makes to ramp up and defend. And yeah, maybe some blue-white or black-white build or something was the best we could do here. Or maybe try the green-white. Try the Golden Tail Trainer thing. Blue-white or blue-black, just because that's where we have dual lands. Green-white because we have trainers. But I don't know. I mean, the one game we got to do Aether Revolt things, it was fun and powerful, and the synergy was certainly there. I just don't think the power level, the raw power, was there in the sealed pool, so we get absolutely crushed. To be fair, we got some really solid sealed pools, and we've been getting through these Arena Open events on the first try like several times in a row lately, like the first or second shot. So about time we fall behind with a weaker sealed pool against some really strong decks. Finally get our comeuppance on the Arena Open day 1. Just a 1-3 run, and it does not feel like there was anything in our sealed pool that would have been remotely good at fighting against the quality of decks that we ran up against. That's just magic sometimes. But that is going to end today's video. As always, I'd like to thank my patrons and YouTube members for their support, as well as you for watching the video. If you enjoyed this video and are interested in seeing some more, you can always like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in a recommended feed. If you'd like to catch me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. But other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.